The domain of death. A dark netherworld, nestled between the land of the living and the realm of the dead. A purgatory, ruled by the god of death, Thanatos.
You have desecrated my kingdom!
It is not too late to turn back, Kratos.
This is all that awaits you at the end of your journey.
Ares was unwise to believe you could serve him.
The
I
gods.
am done with the gods! I wish only to find my brother.
Your brother was a threat to Olympus, Kratos.
Lies and riddles. This only give me a leader.
The Oracle had foretold the demise of the Olympian gods and the destruction of Olympus by the hands of a mortal, a marked warrior.
What was done had to be done.
You were there.
Forgive me. You had to be saved.
You should have saved him. I should have saved him. Behold, ghost of Sparta. Do not pursue this path.
Do not seek the domain of death.
There is more to this than you could possibly know.
Ghost of Sparta, you will answer for this affront. I will save my brother. Do not stand in my way, Thanatos. For Ares' blood is not the only I will shed.
You have sunk the only path to your salvation.
Welcome back to Let's Play God of War, Ghost of Sparta, the end game. We have made it into the domain of death. We have gotten our final relic of the game. As soon as you enter the domain of death, you can get the Bonds of Ares, pretty much immediately. As soon as you walk in, it's right there. It's the last relic in the game, not counting the one that you can't get from the main campaign. So, no more relics, no more regular collectibles. There's still going to be some item chests to get, but no more major collectibles from here on out. Now it's just a big final gauntlet, similar to the Temple of Persephone from Chains of Olympus, to get us to our final boss encounters. And we're going to start that gauntlet off immediately with an encounter that includes searchers, satyrs, I should say, searchers. I'm thinking of Ragnarok. Encounter that includes satyrs and minotaurs. I die a couple of times here just to open things up. Minotaurs caught me off guard, and then also the satyrs have that annoying slide attack that they can do that takes away a lot of your health if they manage to connect with it. Although the hitbox to actually connect with Kratos is pretty weird, and there's times where you're going to think that their slide attacks can connect with you, and then it doesn't, and then there's times where you think you've gotten away from it, where they connect anyway. It's weird stuff. Also, the QTE for killing satyrs, for, slitting their throats, is different than what it was in Chains of Olympus. In Chains of Olympus, it was that annoying analog stick prompt, but now in Ghost of Sparta, it's just a button press, which is the way it should be, because the button press QTEs are much better than the waggling the analog stick for like a quarter rotation to the left or right or something. It's much better to just press a button than to do that. Anyway, this first encounter, satyrs, minotaurs. Focus on the satyrs first. They are annoying. They have that annoying slide attack. Minotaurs are very powerful, but of course, if you can time parries and blocks, then you can basically not take damage from anything they do. So, minotaurs are less of a threat than the satyrs. Satyrs are much more wiry. They move around a lot more. They're just something you really need to keep an eye out on as compared to the minotaurs. And also, the fact that there's more minotaurs in this encounter than you would think is one of the reasons why you want to save the minotaurs for last. Minotaurs are very easy to deal with one-on-one. Minotaurs are... There's like 4 minotaurs in this encounter alone, I think. But they're never going to... it's not going to be a Greyon situation from Atlantis in the last episode, where there's always going to be 2 on screen at the same time, if there can be. There's only ever going to be 1 minotaur in the arena at any given time, if there can be. So... even once I kill all the satyrs, a second minotaur isn't going to spawn in to back up the first minotaur, which is why this encounter is much easier if you focus on killing all the satyrs first, and then save all the minotaurs for last. Because again, there's like 4 minotaurs, but they're always going to come out one at a time. So it's going to be very, very simple to just to deal with them one at a time once all the satyrs have been taken care of. And that's it for the first encounter. Not much to it. In this episode, we're going to keep getting more red orbs. We're going to keep working towards upgrading everything that we can in this game. As I mentioned in previous episodes, we aren't going to be able to finish upgrading everything in one playthrough. We're going to cut it close. Spoiler alert: we're going to have to beat the final boss to get just enough red orbs to finish upgrading everything. But we will be able to finish upgrading everything. Normally, you're not going to be able to, but because of my intense focus on Hyperion grappling as many enemies as I possibly could during my playthrough. You are capable of getting just enough red orbs to upgrade everything in one playthrough, even in the highest difficulty. So now we have a third Minotaur. I think this is the last Minotaur. There might be another one. I'm using Arms of Sparta from a distance before they get too close to lay in some initial damage. But once they get close, it's a better idea to just deal with them with the Blades of Athena and Thera's Bane. Very, very quickly being able to dispatch Minotaurs with that strategy of Arms of Sparta from a distance, and then as soon as they start getting close to start attacking you, that's when you can start using your blades and your fire. But that's our first encounter in the Domain of Death. Now we have this unique little plant obstacle here. It's going to smack you around, basically. The only way you can actually damage it, they're armored. The only way you can actually damage it is with Thera's Bane. So make sure you use Thera's Bane to instill fire cores to deal with them quicker, because otherwise they're not going to die, and you're going to be stuck here for forever. And you don't want to be stuck here forever. You want to go and save your brother, obviously. So there we go. It's another plant taken care of. Another minor obstacle out of our way. The Domain of Death is not nearly as unforgiving as the Temple of Persephone, I should say. It's the Temple of Persephone from Chains of Olympus, Ready Dawn's other endgame area. I say that, but by the end of the video, I'm going to have a very, very terrible encounter with the final big group of enemies in Ghost of Sparta. It's an encounter that I didn't expect to do so badly at, because in my practice playthroughs I did very well. There's an encounter coming up that I expected to be very, very difficult. But the encounter that I actually had the most trouble in was an encounter that I did perfectly fine in my practice playthroughs, and then in this one, it just kicked my butt again and again and again. And I think I know why at this point, after reviewing all the footage and editing together a death montage. I think at this point I know why I did so terribly at that encounter, but I mean, we'll find out. And, you know, part of it is just very, very bad luck and recording curse and all that. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. By the end of the video, we are gonna see just how bad the final encounter went for me. Until then, though, Domain of Death, just some basic ravens that we encountered from the island of Crete, from the Aramis boss fight. They're here, obviously, because they're from the Domain of Death. Basic evil plants to get out of our way. Nice basic obstacles. In terms of a pure aesthetic, the Domain of Death is way better looking than the Temple of Persephone, Ready Dawn's other final endgame area. This game looks amazing, and the Domain of Death is phenomenal to see. Especially that first shot when we first came into the Domain of Death. It's really good stuff. I really, really enjoy the aesthetics of Ghost of Sparta a lot. But now we're climbing up. We have ourselves a very difficult encounter here that I expected to die in a lot more than I did. Just the one death, I believe, which is... No, sorry, 2 deaths. Just the 2 deaths here, which is way less than I was expecting. This encounter is the perfect testament to why you want to make sure your Arms of Sparta are at least level 3 before you reach Atlantis, but preferably maxed out by the time you get to the Domain of Death. First of all, Arms of Sparta, you can actually walk around while you're blocking, similar to how you could do in God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, so that's fantastic. This fight is insanity. it's raids and ravens, and you just have to walk around with your Arms of Sparta, because again, great thing that you can walk around while blocking with your Arms of Sparta. You walk around blocking everything, and just timing when you can do an instant circle grab kill on the ravens. And it has to be an aerial grab kill. The way that Ghost of Sparta's invincibility frames work with... The way their invincibility frames work with their kill animations, you have more opportunity to very quickly block if you circle grab ravens while Kratos is in the air. If you don't do that, then Kratos is going to be more vulnerable to the raids or to the other ravens that are still around. It's a terrible fight. Just make sure you aerial grab kill ravens, and then once you get to the part with the raids, just keep walking around. I'm speeding this up by 200%. This still takes a few minutes, 200% speed. It's an awful fight. This is one of the worst fights in the game. It's a fight that I expected to die in a lot more, but somehow I didn't. So, again, strategy for the fight. Aerial grab kill ravens, and then just walk around shielded, making sure that the raids can't actually hit you. If you don't parry the raids, they're not going to do that dive thing where they dive into the ground and then leap out at you, and you have to do the L1 R1 QTE to get out of that grab and take unavoidable damage. As long as you just use the Arms of Sparta, the very powerful Arms of Sparta, the raids are never going to dive into the ground to try and do that attack. And if they never dive into the ground to do that attack, every single other attack they can do, which is where they put their arms into the ground and they unleash some pillars of light at you, or they just try to scratch at you, you can block all of that with the Arms of Sparta. And you can walk around as you block, so you can try to get into a good position to throw more spears at them to get them to QTE kill range. It's a very difficult, unforgiving fight in God mode. It is a very long, grueling encounter where you just have to be patient and wait for the perfect opportunities to open up to you. I hate that encounter so much. I expected to die to it a lot more than I did, but I didn't. There's an encounter coming up later where I do die a lot more, and it's very unfortunate that it happened. But getting past that fight, you saw how I did it. Arms of Sparta, aerial grab kill ravens for better iframes, and for a better opportunity for better timing to be able to block things quicker, leave yourself less vulnerable, and then just walking around shielded, waiting for opportunities to spear the raids and then QTE kill the raids. Awful fight. Expected to die a lot more. Didn't. Moving on though, we're in the Hall of Damnation. We've killed some hounds here. Again, Arms of Sparta. Don't have to deal with the with grabbing the hounds anymore. It just takes a few spear throws to kill them. Maybe always be exploring. There isn't anything else here, but just double checking, just making sure. Cutscene.
The doors to the domain of death, a place neither mortal nor god had dared enter. Worshipped long before the Olympians, Thanatos, the god of death, dwelled within.
Okay, our final encounter before we actually get into the Temple of Thanatos is going to be Cyclops Tyrants and Hoplites. This is an encounter I didn't expect to have too much trouble in, but I did end up dying a couple of times, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, the bad thing about dying at this encounter is you have to watch that cutscene every time you die, which is kind of unfortunate. It's a very old game design limitation that I've hopefully moved past, but this is an old game, so whatever. The actual encounter itself, Cyclops Tyrants, very, very quickly work at getting their armor off of them as soon as possible. That way, once the Hoplites join the encounter, you can work at not just killing the Hoplites first, but you can also do some chip damage to the Tyrants. Also, using your Arms of Sparta, you can very, very quickly just dispatch of one of the first two Tyrants as soon as you can. And also, I'm making sure that I'm laying down enough damage to one of the other Tyrants, just similar in the Greyon fight in the final Atlantis encounter. so that once I kill one of the tyrants and the Hop and Hoplites enter in for the next part of the fight, I can immediately just dispatch of the second Cyclops here and just get it out the way. And just move on to the final part where I believe a third Cyclops tyrant is going to be joining in the battle, and we have to deal with these remaining Hoplite people. So it's a good opportunity to use some magic here. Scourge of Aranis is definitely recommended. The Eye of Atlantis is good for the invincibility frames, but if you want to get some decent chip damage in, then the Scourge of Aranis is the way to go in God mode for the end game here. Still taking an opportunity to do some Hyperion grapples because you are invincible for them. Again, not invincible forever. I didn't throw the enemy in time there to take advantage of the invincibility frames and the fact that the enemies are going to stop aggroing to you if you decide to throw an enemy that you've Hyperion grappled, which is why I took damage from that Cyclops tyrant a little bit earlier. Got myself into a bad position here where I can't really see the whole arena or, you know, the very terrifying, scary, giant tyrant monster. So a lot of this fight is going to be spent with you trying to position yourself to be able to see things as best you can. Instilling fire cores here. Yeah. So the Domain of Death, series of difficult encounters, similar to the Temple of Persephone, but unlike the Temple of Persephone, there's, you know, better aesthetics and more interesting things to do in between the big difficult encounters here. And with the death of this third tyrant, there we go, we are done with the first part of the Domain of Death, the outside area, the actual domain itself and the Hall of Damnation. Now we get to actually enter the Temple of Thanatos and check out what is perhaps the most elaborate of the temples we've visited so far. So far, we visited the Temple of Poseidon, the Temple of Ares. Time for the Temple of Poseidon. Of the Temple of,
Breathe thyself, and your past shall be forgiven.
I meant time for the Temple of Thanatos, as our title card has helpfully reminded us. So thank you, title card, for helping out with my flub there. Alright, this is the final area of the game, the Temple of Thanatos, the final big exploring area with regular encounters and all that stuff. Good stuff. The Domain of Death lies outside the realm of Olympus in the world of mortals. It existed long before the rule of the gods. Type of the, I went too fast to be able to read it there. Oopsies. But you can read it yourselves by just pausing. Good stuff. Alright, so here we are, Temple of Thanatos, the final big exploratory area of the game. Series of difficult encounters, similar again to the Temple of Persephone. The final encounter is going to be the one that truly kicks my butt in a way that I didn't expect, because in my practice playthroughs I did perfectly fine on it. But then, for this, really good playthrough where I died less than 25 times so far. It's really not gonna go well for me this final regular enemy encounter, but we'll get to it when we get to it. For now, just know that Temple of Thanatos is going to have many sneaky chests for you to get in very sneaky places. That's not the sneakiest one, by the way. There is another one that is much sneakier, much better hidden. One of the best hidden chests I think I've seen, certainly in the Origins collection of God of War. Have ourselves a basic hanging section here. Again, unlike in God of War 2005, hanging sections are nothing to be worried about. They're very nothing sections, just a way to pass the time and make things a little bit more visually interesting than they were before. I was showing off different attacks. So the grab, Kratos still grabs with his mighty thighs and throws enemies off. Strong attack, weak attack. Now Kratos is actually using his blades for that kind of stuff, as opposed to just his legs and feet. So nice to have a little progression there. There is one more enemy that is coming over from the right side that we just got there. There we go. And now we're gonna swing over. There we are. Thanatos himself will occasionally taunt us. Yeah. We'll see. It's a very, very cool final area. Very visually interesting final area. I really like this as a final area compared to the Temple of Persephone from Chains of Olympus. And really compared to the Hecatoncheires from Ascension, or even exploring Hades in God of War 2005. This is a very, very interesting, very, very cool final area. So at this point now we're going to be dealing with a crushing wall situation. Very simple to deal with, just time it, just to make sure that you run now to this little entryway right here. There we go. And now we're going to be dealing with more cursed remains. The cursed remains, by the way, are the skeletons, the spooky, scary skeletons from episode 2. We get to deal with more of them. This is our second encounter with them. Hooray! Basically, the purpose of this room, we have to destroy these gears. The cursed remains are infinite, so don't bother attacking them, because they're just going to keep respawning. Unless you want the red orbs, in which case go ahead and keep doing that. I will say, if you want red orbs if you want to farm red orbs from the cursed remains, eventually, after killing a certain amount of them, I don't know how many, but after killing a certain amount of them, they're going to stop dropping red orbs when they die, which is going to be your big hint that killing the cursed remains is not the way to complete this room. The way you complete this room is by using Thera's Bane attacks, Thera's Bane infused attacks to destroy the giant wheels here, the giant gears here. The cursed remains are just here to get in your way, but the mission of the room is to destroy the gears, the 4 gears. Again, they're armored, so that you can only use Thera's Bane attacks. But once you destroy them all, the wall will stop moving, and you can and we can move forward with the temple. So here I'm speeding up just to show you that we're done with this. So now the cursed remains are not going to be spawning in anymore. Now it's just going to be now whatever cursed remains are left over from your time in the gear room, it's going to be all that's left. I'm speeding up because, again, I'm still not doing the Hyperion grapple thing that kills them really, really quick. Although I think at this point I'm going to start showing it off with the last one or the last 2. Yeah, here we go. Hyperion grapples automatically crush them, automatically shatter them when you actually land the blow. Although they will disassemble and fall back to the ground in an attempt to avoid your Hyperion grapple, if you don't do it as soon as they reform. But at this point, all we have to do is push the wall back. That's going to make the bars on the left side that we saw there go down. And if we push it back all the way to the end, then we get 2 extra red orb chests, which is nice. But it's not the super secret red orb chest that I was talking about. The super secret item chest that I was talking about. Super secret item chest is actually coming up right now. So we just go down this hallway, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, oh, where could this chest possibly be? Well, you jump on that item chest there, and you grab onto that ledge, and there you go. Secret item chest. That is a really well hidden little item chest there, with plenty of red orbs to signify just how secretive that chest was. So good stuff. Eye of Atlantis is now maxed out. I believe the only thing we have left is the useless Horn of Boreas. As I said, we're going to get just enough red orbs to finish upgrading everything in the game, so we just have to get, let's see, we have 1,500, we need 11,000 more. Well, again, as I said, a combination of the red orbs we're going to be getting from the next few encounters and chests and the red orbs we're going to get from the final boss is going to give us just enough red orbs to finish upgrading everything in the game. Just enough. There's another item chest right here. Open it up. There we go. Anyway, now we're coming up to the final major encounter of the Temple of Thanatos, and it is going to be the most difficult encounter that I didn't expect to be difficult, but, you know, recording curse, I guess. Live and learn. This encounter is going to be Cyclops, Tyrants, and Raids. And it's an encounter I didn't expect to be difficult compared to the Ravens and the Raids from earlier, but it was. Cyclops Tyrant is gigantic. The Raids are annoying as they've always been, even though they're weak to the arms of Sparta. Cyclops Tyrants are armored, so you can't just use the arms of Sparta on them from the beginning. What you should be doing is not what I am doing, which is aerial spear throws, as aerial rapid spear assault as opposed to ground-based ones. Because as I was talking about in the Ravens and Raids fight, doing the ground version of the rapid spear assault is very powerful, but it leaves you more vulnerable. You have more vulnerability frames after you finish your rapid spear assault as compared to aerial spear assaults, where you'll be able to more quickly block things after you're done with a rapid spear assault. So I don't do that for a long time, which is going to result in the 20+ deaths that you're going to see play out. You already saw one. Yeah, this is a bad encounter, so enjoy the montage. Yeah, not a great encounter for me. That is the most deaths I've suffered at any one point in God of War so far, even more than the final boss fight with Ares in God of War 2005. I died 18 times in that one, and I died more than 20 in this. So here's, again, what you really want to be doing. You want to be doing the aerial rapid spear assault that I'm doing here. You're gonna be able to reposition yourself quicker with the aerial version of the attack. You're going to be able to have better invincibility frames, be less vulnerable after you're done attacking. The aerial version of the rapid spear assault is the key to doing well in this fight. Other key is focus on taking out the raids first, because they are just the worst enemy in the game. They are way too annoying. You have to deal with the raids first. You can block almost everything a Cyclops Tyrant does, except for that final foot grab, and obviously that slam attack where it brings both of its hands down to the ground. Its little rampaging charge it does at you. You can block almost everything it does with that, with the exception of the final foot stomp. Bad thing about the Tyrants is that their attacks can trigger the raids to dive into the ground and do that awful dive attack that leads to the unavoidable damage. So that's another reason why this fight sucks so much. But once you've dealt with all the raids, if you manage to deal with all the raids, then you're just going to have the Cyclops themselves to deal with, the Cyclopes themselves. And it's not just one, it's like, I think 2 or 3 in this encounter, so everything possible to make this a really, really annoying, terrible encounter. It's an encounter that I did perfectly well at in my practice playthroughs, but here in the actual thing, it really, really kicked my butt. So, not great. But here at last, after 20-something deaths is my revenge, my good run where I managed to actually win. So, Cyclops Tyrants use Thera's Bane attacks to get rid of the armor first. Then once the armor is gone, as so, you're going to want to use the Arms of Sparta and just pelt them with a bunch of spears. And thankfully, if your Arms of Sparta are at full power, it's not going to take that many spears to get them to QTE kill range. Now, I'm pretty sure there's one more Cyclops Tyrant after this. I am very confident there's at least one more after this. But I could be wrong? Maybe? Oh, thank God. It's just 2. Okay. Terrible encounter. I hate that encounter so much. God. Really, really frustrated me when I actually played it. Never died that many times to anything in God of War, and certainly not in a practice playthrough. The Ares thing at the end of God of War 2005 surprised me, but it was the final boss, so, you know, whatever. This was just an encounter that I did decently well at in my practice playthroughs, so whatever. Whatever. Cursed Remains, by the way, can also be taken down very quickly with the Arms of Sparta, as most everything can be taken down quickly with the Arms of Sparta, because they're just so powerful and so incredible. There we are. One more here, I believe. No, 2 more. And with that, I believe we are done with the regular encounters in this game. I think so, anyway. There's still one more puzzle room to deal with, but in terms of regular encounters, regular fighting, I think those Cursed Remains and that awful fight with the raids and the Cyclops Tyrant was it. So, appropriate, I suppose, that if anything was going to kick my ass, it would be the final major encounter of the game, not counting the final bosses, which, as we'll get into, are some of the easiest final bosses in the franchise. Both the Greek saga and the Norse saga, so exciting to get into that. I guess it was kind of to make up for the fact that Persephone was so difficult that they made the final bosses here easier. I don't know. We'll see. We'll take a look once we get to them. Before we get to them, though, as I mentioned, we have one more major puzzle room to deal with. We're not totally done yet, just because we finished the encounters. This room is going to task us with using the Arms of Sparta to block the fire, as we did with the freezing cold winds at the Shrine of Boreas. Taking down both gears is going to temporarily lower the door, and I say temporarily because it's not going to be a permanent thing. And then we just spin this big platform around. There's goodies on both the right end and the left end, but of course I messed up the. Not a fan of this room either, because it's very, very precise where you have to put the platform in order to have it count as being on the left, on the right, or at the top. You have to. It's really ideal to just get it a little bit past the point where you need it to be, so that way, once you let go, it'll automatically place itself where it needs to be at the left, or on the right, or at the top. So at this point, we can leave as soon as we get the platform. As soon as we get the platform, the railing here, our walkway here, pointing towards the door. But there is something extra on the left, which I believe it is the final item chest of the game, the last big special item chest of the game. This is going to have more red orbs or goodies for us. Yeah. There it is. The last item chest of the game. This is item chest number 65, I believe. Grand total of 65 chests in the game, at least as far as I'm aware. At this point, all we have to do now is just go through the door, but unfortunately I'm going to mess up the turning thing again. Once I get it to what I see... God damn. Very annoying. Very, very annoying. So we're just going to super speed and just get this back to where it's supposed to be. Very annoying little puzzle room there, but it is the last puzzle room in the game. And once you get past that, there is no more. Speaking of no more, this is the end of the video. So I hope you all enjoyed. Next time, it's the end. We're going to have a plethora of cutscenes, a plethora of story, the final boss encounters, the credits. I hope you all been enjoying the Ghost of Sparta playthrough so far. I know I have, even with my ramblings and ravings. I hope you've all been enjoying this. Next time, we're going to get into the end. So, yeah. Going to open up our last few chests, our last save point before we get into the big finale. Going to make our way up to this big, ominous, cool-looking door. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.